Thunder Lotus is an incredible studio. I love how beautiful their projects are, I love how their style brings novelty to genres I usually avoid, and I love how the full aesthetic package creates sensorially dense narratives for players to intuit as much as they listen to or read. Oh, and they're big. Thunder Lotus likes big things. Massive environments, colossal boss fights, and tiny heroes trying desperately to make sense of their astronomical quests. Spiritfarer has its share of big things, but it may also be this studio's most pleasant release to date. You play as Stella, the new Spiritfarer in a world between life and the afterlife. Her job is to help unfulfilled souls find the peace they need to move beyond the Everdoor, the final passage to eternity. Stella ferries spirits by barge, housing the wayward souls as well as the services they need for survival and comfort. It's similar to town builders like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, only the town is on a boat and your neighbors are actually souls looking to settle their unresolved affairs. From the start, most spirits are confident they have the answers to their problems. They enlist Stella's help in satisfying the passions that occupied them in life. Some spend more time on hobbies, while others bask in peaceful solitude. Many sought the idyllic lifestyles that eluded them before. Whatever suited the spirits best, Stella farmed the crops that made their favorite foods, forged the materials that kept them sheltered and busy, and always offered unconditional affection. That unconditional affection is key, as Stella's care reveals the dissonance between what the spirits think they want and what they truly need. For each task I completed, each ambition I helped them satisfy, it never amounted to lasting peace. Often, what kept their souls in limbo was rooted in interpersonal need, not material gain. Over time and with warmth, these spirits reflected on past relationships with all the tragedy, insecurity, and rejection they entail. As a game, Spiritfarer is the definition of a slow burn, employing subtle juxtapositions to showcase its themes. Each activity keeps the mood bright, while cracks in the facade allow sadness to seep through. The tone continually suggests that darkness and pain linger under the shining faces and vibrant personalities. But is it as foreboding as it seems? Not really. Bouts of sadness are a natural part of living in a loving environment, where sorrow, like everything else about these spirits, is valued. To understand the value of unconditional affection, I look to a psychologist and psychotherapy researcher named Carl Rogers. His model of humanistic psychology asserts that all humans trend towards self-actualization, a state of full individual potential as defined by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The path to actualization is disrupted when experience and trauma create incongruity between your ideal self and your self-image. The incongruity damages your self-worth and leads to psychological distress. A core cause of a damaged self-worth is what Rogers refers to as conditional positive regard. When someone learns that they only deserve love when their behaviors meet the approval of others, usually parents. This implants the idea that they can only be accepted by embracing a self-image that deviates from their ideal self. What's the solution to damaged self-worth? Well, a lot of things, but Carl Rogers' main response is unconditional positive regard. Love without expectation. That's basically Stella's role in the process. She's the continuous source of physical and emotional reassurance that spirits need to put themselves on the track to self-realization. With enough food, attention, and hugging, these troubled souls may find their way to a state of acceptance of what life has been and what their next steps can be. The relationship we form with the spirits allows them to confront the bonds they held on Earth. Only in death, the goal is not to reach self-actualization, but finality and closure instead. Failing to address these formative relationships has anchored the spirits in limbo, unable to fully detach from the lives they once led. By allowing them to process the complicated feelings behind these associations, Stella can guide their souls toward their existential conclusions. It's an affecting process, as each dynamic is a little different. Some spirits hold on to traumas from abusive, manipulative, or deceitful relationships. Others fixate on pleasant companionships, not realizing the damage caused by their absence. Then there are those without high-valence emotions, just strains of inadequacy and insecurity. The good, the bad, and the awkward all weigh them down, literally in some cases, as they distract themselves from the discomfort of introspection. These spirits are all haunted by regrets, mourning, and personal suppression, bearing a ponderous load of thwarted kinship. With one foot still firmly planted in bygone attachments, anxieties rise to the surface about themselves and others. They seek out things and activities that might soothe their distress. Some of them verbalize their frustration, even taking some of them out on Stella. Thankfully, she's not a walk-the-plank type of ship captain. Instead, she continues to ply them with a blend of kindness and personal space. Supporting them through this growth requires the same Rogerian application of unconditional positive regard, no matter how snippy they get. Entertain their personal exploration while allowing them the space to work out the truth behind their feelings. This affectionate routine brings them closer to the attitudes and actions that prepare their souls for eternity, one pork chop at a time. However, the affection cuts in both directions. Taking these spirits to the Everdoor is always a bittersweet task. We're happy to see them move on, but their departure inevitably leaves us empty. After all, so much of our own purpose has been about tending to their needs. We built homes for them on our ship and occupied their time with workshops and activities. We learned about who they were, what they like, and how to get them what they want. Tending fields, shearing sheep, and brewing coffee were instilled with the sentimentality behind those friendships. The spirits depart, but Stella carries out her routines, vestigial rituals to the friendships she no longer has access to. I plant the seeds, but for whom? Who truly appreciates the black coffee other than Gwen? This is when the themes of the game are turned back onto the player, when it asks why Stella remains instead of moving beyond the Everdoor. Well, it's because after all this time, the management mechanics have us hooked on the responsibility. Each act becomes symbolic of our affection, and we keep our friends close through our commitment and service. But this is a lonely replacement for companionship, and Stella knows it. It's why visions of her mortal life keep taunting her, why her ultimate purpose in living and in death remains unclear, and why tangible assignments are ultimately more appealing than piecing together a grander mystery. We want to stay on the ship, complete our tasks, get up to shenanigans, and ruminate on the memories of our loved ones. We, the player, have spent all this time making others accept their passing, yet our own decision to do the same is still so difficult. Because that's ultimately the point. No one can force us through the Everdoor. That step is ours to take. The last two spirits, Elena and Buck, are some of the most brilliantly designed characters I've seen in a video game. Through their mechanics, they question players for their commitment to routine. Through Elena's challenges and Buck's role-playing, we're meant to confront the emotions we've projected onto our chores. Being a caretaker has become the condition we've placed on our purpose. We can't move on now. There are friends who've not been satisfied yet. And with this realization, the Rogerian responsibility passes to others. They don't enforce stopping points or chastise us for our uncertainty. We process the end at our own pace, recognizing the drive for completionism as antithetical to the acceptance of death. We do not have to bear this burden. The spirits' flowers and smiling faces prove how happy they were for having known us, how Stella does not have to wallow away, insisting that she hasn't done enough. She deserves the same happiness she worked to give others. In seeing this, she can find her way to peace and eternity.